Right, hello snipers. I'll give it a couple of minutes for people to join and then we'll head straight into it. This week is relatively packed with data and majorly packed with important data. So we got UK and US rate hikes this week. So Tuesday, Wednesday is the US rate hike. So tomorrow and day after, expect to see price really move. We'll touch on what we're expected in terms of how to trade tomorrow's data release, and then obviously go over some TA points. We'll try and push and be as quick as possible on these on this pre-market. Try and keep it as simple as possible. So, what's happening with Bitcoin? If we go over to the daily. So we got our daily. So in the last update that we spoke about, obviously we spoke about this almost channel or in a channel that we're getting over here. We got a breakthrough, obviously, and then a push back up. And now we're kind of making another push down, finding a bit of support at this level over here. So we will need to see a continuation on that move down. Otherwise, could be the case that we kind of make a push higher before we come down again. So it's one of those that we really do need to keep an eye on and make sure that we are going to just continue to come down, hopefully. Volume is relatively still low. Okay, so we're not really getting that increase in volume. Getting a good amount of distribution happening here. Okay, very little accumulation happening in this section over here. However, it is still some accumulation happening. That being said, okay, things still look like they're going to come down. Even here on the 1 hour, if we can stick at this level here, so as you can see here, this was past past support over here, and now we're actually getting that test. So ideally we want to see this rejecting these moving averages so that prices can come down again. As you can see, we went to short-term support just at this order block here, and then short-term support lower down. So that is what we're looking at ideally for short-term support levels, and then we've got our short-term resistance, and then obviously we got these 3 levels that we drew in the last update, so we'll just finalize them off right now. So we got 3 levels of support. Got one at 3723, 35400, and 3416. Those are our next levels of support. Okay, so keep them in the book as they will be important if price does break through and follow through and come down. So even last week, okay, in terms of where are they? Bitcoin short, we're now pulling back a little bit, but we got a huge increase in Bitcoin short. we got a huge increase in Bitcoin shorts. Okay, so obviously we've got people, institutions short in the market. This is obviously clear pricing in for the data releases this week. Okay, so maybe taking some risk off the table. But so in terms of what to expect this week, when we do get the expected quarter point increase in interest rates for the US. Obviously, it's been being spoken about for quite a while now. So we need really to have a bit more of a hawkish standpoint. So kind of come with a little bit extra information that's not being expected, so that we do get kind of a bit more of a shock in the market. If that is the case, then we can expect things to really push down and come down lower. Otherwise, we might see a little bit of an increase before coming down. So if we go, so we got PPI figures as well tomorrow. We've got ECB's President Lagarde's speech. So it's going to be quite a busy day tomorrow. Where's the interest rates? Got some crude oil. Here we go. So we got interest rates on Wednesday. Okay, so we'll have some speeches on Tuesday, and then the actual interest rate decision will come on Wednesday. So it's going to be a full day in terms of data. So again, we're gonna be sat down and watching these meetings. There's a lot of important information is going to be obviously laid out moving ahead, and then obviously the information in terms of how, well, basically they're standing on the next meeting, and the likelihood, or the kind of how they're going to move forward in terms of the next Fed interest rate meeting. Okay, so we kind of want to see whether it's quite likely, or the likelihood that we're going to get another interest rate sort of hike in the next meeting, and then also kind of their stance as to what they're looking for, what they wanted to expect, for them to then increase it by another quarter point. That's what we kind of really want to see. If we are going to get interest rate hikes in every meeting, or at least for the next few meetings after Wednesday's meeting, then again, one, yes, it is being expected, but two, obviously these meetings are going to be happening a bit more frequently. So if they are deciding to make that interest rate hike in those meetings, then again we should be expecting prices to come down. But again, we'll see. Dynamics have slightly changed, especially with what's happening in the world. We've got the Ukraine and Russia crisis. Okay, so a little bit of kind of pent up in interest. Obviously, we saw sorry, we saw kind of Bitcoin in terms of people around the world buying Bitcoin to be sent over to Ukraine to help out. Okay, so that's going to give us a little bit of strength. And then obviously all of these sanctions being put on Russia kind of leads to Russians are very high up Russians kind of trying or finding other means as to getting money over and finding that funding. So again, Bitcoin's one of those ways that could potentially be a reason for prices pushing up. But again, another one that could be adding to that strength is increase in energy prices. So increasing in energy prices is obviously potentially moving Bitcoin up higher, as it again uses a lot of energy. And obviously, if the energy isn't there or it's becoming more expensive, miners are basically being cut out of money. So we're going to see a little bit of a push up or rise up in prices to cancel out that effect. So got a lot of data coming in on Wednesday. Again, we've got quite a few speeches coming in Thursday, and then here we go. So we got UK's interest rate coming in on Thursday as well. So between tomorrow and Thursday, we've got quite a lot of data coming in. So back to Bitcoin. Right, that Bitcoin. Wow. Let's see. Right. So we'll go a bit more in depth in terms of Bitcoin analysis. Okay, we'll go through some more TA. We are very much sticking to this level over here as resistance. As you can see, we got that push up higher, found some resistance at the 618, came back down, got a little bit of volatility. This came from the hot CPI inflation from the US, as well as the ECB speech. Okay, so we got a nice push up high, push up down, and then continuation. So we should actually see prices come down at least to the top of this level over here, where we could potentially see some support being formed. We are very much just obviously accumulating, distributing in this section over here. Okay, we've had a decent prolonged amount of accumulation. However, obviously it's getting less and less and less. We've got quite a lot of distribution at the top, and again, we're kind of seeing increased amounts of distribution as well happening right now. So more than likely to see prices come down to find one, stronger support, two, bit more liquidity, and three, again, to kind of give a bit more opportunity to kind of accumulate. So we should see prices really come down to that bottom of the range this week. It really does kind of depend on this data release and see what or how the markets kind of react. We've got the Nasdaq is down. Tech futures over in China for the Hang Seng is again down majorly. So normally if tech is down, Bitcoin type kind of tends to follow. Okay, so that's another thing to kind of keep in mind. Volatility is down slightly, obviously, as you can clearly see. Nothing's really happening. and the dollar is slightly down. Let's check out the dollar. So slightly down, but still pushing up higher. Almost forming some sort of bullish flag or potential bullish flag being formed here. Okay, so we are at resistance. We could see a continuation all the way to about 100 or so before kind of coming down, maybe forming almost a cup and handle, or at least a double top. So we've got cup and handle potential forming here, and then potentially continuing. It's all really on this data kind of coming out, and obviously how it's impacting prices in terms of energy prices, and inflation is obviously playing a role in all this. So we should see things actually start coming down after the rate hikes are being put in place. And then obviously we also need to kind of keep an eye out for how the Fed are going to be kind of dealing with the reduction of the balance sheet. That's of importance as well. So the quicker they reduce that balance sheet, hopefully, fingers crossed, the quicker that inflation comes down. So bringing this kind of strengthening dollar also down. So it's one thing to really keep an eye on. On Wednesday, we will be sending in that speech for all of you to kind of watch and keep an eye on. But obviously, we will keep you all updated as things move. One last one, obviously, total crypto market cap, the most important chart. Okay. Still sticking to the structure over here, but kind of sticking to that support level here. Okay, so we do really need to see a break down now to push lower. Otherwise, we will potentially make either a move to this 50 moving average, or at least a move to this previous top over here, which if you kind of line it out as kind of the days move on, right, that 100 moving average is going to put a kind of line up perfectly with this top. So we kind of really do want this push down here, fill up these candles, okay, and then continue its trickle down all the way down. Seeing some accumulation, quite a little bit of distribution happening here. So obviously we got quite a lot of distribution back here. So we could actually see a small push up or to this 50 moving average, if not to the 100 moving average, before finding resistance and then making that move down lower. Once obviously that liquidity is being grabbed at these points over here, giving it that kind of strength, that selling strength that is needed to kind of bring markets a bit more volatile, and then making that move down lower. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're looking at. We could see, again, just like we said, we could see a little bit of a push up higher, okay, before coming down lower. Things have been really, really slow. So it's kind of lacking that liquidity and lacking that volatility that is needed to make these moves, or these volatile moves that we have been experiencing previously. So yeah, that is what we're looking like, guys. So we'll see how things kind of play out tomorrow. We should see some volatility coming in that London session, and then hitting that New York session. We should see, or we will see, some big volatility. Obviously, it's also Tuesday. We've got it's kind of big money flow day. So we do see volatility increasing across markets. So again, let's keep an eye on things. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, soon all of this indecision will be done. And then a bit more clarity in the market moving forward, especially with these rate hikes. We're kind of going to get a bit more of an idea as the standpoint of the Fed, and then hopefully a reduction in inflation, and again, a bit more clarity in the market. But yeah, apart from that, we haven't got anything else. Kind of keeping it short and sweet. All of the fundamentals haven't changed. They're all the same fundamentals that we have been getting since the Ukraine invasion. That was the latest sort of hit to fundamentals. And it's kind of not really changed. It's basically the same, really. In terms of moving forward with that conflict, we have got potential sort of deals or meetings to come to an agreement on kind of ending it. But again, it really just depends whether those meetings do go ahead. At the moment, it's just talks about having meetings. No meetings are being had. So they need to actually sit down and have talks, which if that happens, then obviously it kind of means or kind of shows us that there is progression in ending the conflict. But as things kind of move on, they're not getting better. So that's what we're looking for. So next news from the Fed interest rate hike as well as the UK interest rate hike. That's what we're looking at. And we've got a few more speeches in terms of the European Central Bank. So we'll see how things play out. But as things kind of stand, especially looking right now, we look like we potentially push down lower. So we'll see. We'll see how things play out. But as always, we'll keep you all updated. But again, guys, thank you very much for listening. And we'll see you tomorrow morning for a few more updates just before this interest rate hike. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Cheers.